So I am Fay Strongin. I'm a member of the Homecare team at the ICA Group. And I joined ICA last March, right after last year's conference wrapped up. So I'm really thrilled to get to gather with you all today for my first ever home care co-op conference. And it feels like something of a homecoming. In this session, we're going to hear from 8 co-ops across the development spectrum, some exploratory initiatives, some emerging, new co-ops, and some established. And since we can't be together in person, I hope that these introductions help us connect and reconnect with friends and colleagues. As Ivona just shared in the last session, our sector is growing. We're seeing a lot of interest in feasibility assessments among groups that are exploring what it would mean to start a home care co-op in their own community. And there's a growing number of startup groups all over the country. To begin the session right now, we're going to hear from 4 emerging co-ops and exploratory initiatives. Those are Heartsong Home Care Co-op in Skagit County, Washington, Co-op Home Care in Yolo County, California, Community Care Cooperative in Houston, Texas, and FIDE Co-op in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Following their introductions, we'll get to view a set of videos from 4 more established cooperatives. Now, throughout the session, both during the intros and the videos, I encourage anyone with a question to put that into the chat, and we should have plenty of time for a question and answer. So to begin our introductions, I'll introduce our speakers one at a time. And first up is Kathie Rivas. She is the administrator at Heartsong Home Care Co-op in Skagit and Island counties in Washington. And I so look forward to hearing more about Heartsong. Take it away, Kathie.
Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Kathie Rivas, and I am the administrator of Heartsong Home Care Cooperative. We're located in Anacortes, Washington, which is part of Skagit County. My personal story is one of a giving nature, and it includes 33 years of caregiving, 5 years of care management, 11 years of property management prior to converting my community to a homeowners cooperative, 9 years in a homeowners cooperative. 6 of those I spent on the board of directors, and then too many volunteer experiences to list. I'm married and I raised 8 children, and I'm blessed to have 5 grandchildren so far. I want everyone that I meet, know, and work with to have the best in their lives, whether I am the one providing that best thing or the one referring to someone else who can provide what they need. So our home care cooperative story begins with several caregivers coming together in 2018 with the idea to form a home care cooperative. Many things happened to us between 2018 and 2021 that changed the roster of folks assisting in the founding. Things got started and stopped and started. Life happened to us all. And then the final steps began when I came on board as administrator, member, caregiver with the co-op in June of 2021, just before our state licensing was approved. With the help of shared capital, the Fund for Jobs Worth Owning, Northwest Development Cooperative, and a private party, we opened our doors for service on September 1st, 2021. We have 188 days open at this point. We opened a physical office in the downtown area on the same block as Island Hospital in Anacortes. We created a warm and welcoming space for caregivers and members to come anytime they feel like they want to drop by. We often welcome potential new clients or their families here in our office. We have folks stop by just to see what we're up to in our little space every now and again as well. We're very proud to provide all non-medical home care services such as personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and shopping. We provide companionship and active engagement to our clients. We empower our aging and vulnerable populations to remain happy, healthy, and as independent as they can in their own homes as long as they can or want to. We've had as many as 14 caregivers on the books for our co-op. Right now we have 8 active caregivers, and of those, 5 are founding members. The others are going through a trial period to be eligible for membership. Like everyone in the home care business, we feel the pressure and the struggle to recruit quality caregivers. It's a fine balance between caregivers and clients. We work hard every day to grow with good balance. We all believe in the cooperative model. We believe in a team approach to caregiving that allows caregivers to connect with and empower each other while giving their peers a sense of worth and pride in the cooperative and understanding care to our clients and vulnerable and disabled persons in our community. While we are all proud to own our jobs and to be completely responsible for the success we earn and the lives we change day to day, whether they are our members or our community. Most of us have worked for big corporations and have answered to a big boss who lines his pockets with the fruits of our labor. We have been underappreciated, overworked, and underpaid. Now we have control of all of those things. We control our future and our success. We are improving the lives of our clients with the services that we provide, but we are also changing and improving the lives of our members every single day. And that's what we're doing up here in Northwest Washington at Heartsong.
Thank you, Kathie, and apologies for mispronouncing the name of your county earlier
That's
on.
okay. It doesn't look like what it sounds like.
Well, that's always the case, always better to ask. Yeah, we are so excited to have you as part of the sector, and for anyone listening who would like to learn more about what's going on in the state of Washington, that's what our next session is all about. So a big thank you again to Kathie and everyone at Heartsong, and we will hear next from Pedro Maturana, who is a cooperative business developer at the California Center for Cooperative Development and at Co-op Homecare located in Yolo County, California.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for having me present our co-op. My name is Pedro Maturana, and I'm a cooperative developer and interim administrator at Co-op Homecare, a worker-owned cooperative based in Davis, California. Our co-op was initiated in 2019 by the California Center for Cooperative Development. It's a nonprofit dedicated to the development, support, and promotion of all sorts of cooperatives. This project was inspired by the need for more sustainable jobs in the home care industry and the need for better jobs and home care services in general, and are mostly rural areas that we serve here in California and Yolo County. Co-op Home Care is now operational. We have 3 caregivers and 5 clients. We got our first client last September. We got our first caregiver last summer, and our first client in September. And there's been a lot of obstacles that we had to overcome just to get to where we are right now. Obviously, the pandemic was a huge one and made it really difficult to recruit, which made just getting off the ground just very, very slow. We're fortunate to find a caregiver who was excited about the model and who wanted to stick around and see it through. And she's still with us, and her clients absolutely are in love with her. So I feel very blessed to have her. And since then, we've been getting our name out in the community as much as we can. We get a lot of inquiries every week. We get more inquiries than we have caregivers for. So the struggle is the same as many are experiencing. But we're hoping to get over that someday and become very well established, so that word gets out that this is a very viable and sustainable job. So we can have the workforce to serve the clients that need our services. So yeah, as for the future, we're continuing to establish ourselves in the community. And personally, I hope that the co-op is successful both as a business and internally, as with a thriving and evolving cooperative culture, and that really gets more caregivers to be interested in this kind of work and in this kind of business model. So that's my personal hope for this cooperative. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. I think your vision is a beautiful one and definitely one we can all embrace here. It's really wonderful to hear about the strong commitment from your first caregiver. And we are wishing you all the best and can't wait to grow with you. So next we are going to hear from Assata Richards, the founding board president of Community Care Cooperative and director of Sankofa Research Institute located in Houston, Texas. Can't wait to hear from you, Assata.
Hi, it's exciting to be here because that means that we've moved from kind of thought to actual realization of Community Care Cooperative. So we were incorporated in 2020 as the second home care cooperative in the state of Texas. It is the first founded by African-American women primarily to serve a urban low-income population. CC, our Community Care Cooperative, was really created as an effective strategy to invest in individuals and communities simultaneously. So we are very place-based in our work. And the purpose was to protect people and communities, primarily historic African-American communities, from displacement through the gentrification. So to give residents of our neighborhood an opportunity to earn livable wages and also create a business that's rooted in the community. In 2021, we hired our first employee, and that employee helped us successfully become a state license. And today, March the 8th, we hired our first 8 providers. So I was at that hiring session, greeting people, and I just heard this comment about, having more requests and not enough providers. And so I was nervous, but to see the women of various ages from 20 to 60 come through that door, looking forward to an opportunity and enthusiastic, was heartwarming to me. We have 5 member owners. They're our original board members. One of them is a certified nurse's assistant at a large hospital. The other is a nurse. The other is an accountant. The 4th one is a marketing expert, and myself, who is a researcher. So a very diverse group of individuals. Of course, our administrator is a certified nurse assistant, and our alternate administrator is the active nurse. Community, what we have done, which I think is innovative, but also addresses the challenge of the low pay in the state of Texas for reimbursement, is that during the pandemic, we made the decision to expand our business model to include community health workers, right? Really individuals who understand upstream strategies for addressing health disparities. So what our community is experiencing is really disparities in terms of health, and also in terms of the determinants of health. So this cross-training has really given our providers a really broad way of thinking about conditions, not only affecting individuals, but affecting neighborhoods, right? And so through that, we're able to secure contracts with universities, with hospitals, but also with nonprofits, right? Who are doing health education, foods, working on food insecurities. And so it's really been able to boost our revenue within our community care cooperative. The additional strategy for revenue is that there are a number of independent providers that exist, and they really needed some back office support. So we have stood up a back office package, which includes accounting, it includes payroll services, tax services, and also, as some of you helped me with, access to the Clear Care platform, right? So that they can produce reports and really create a professional package for their families and also maintain their independence. So we have 3 strategies or pathways into community care cooperative: the traditional provider route. And if you come in that route, you can be cross-trained as a community health worker. You can come in as a community health worker and be cross-trained as a provider. or you can come in as an independent provider and also have an opportunity to be part of our membership. We're excited. We know there are a lot of challenges, but we believe that our model is comprehensive, is holistic, and is flexible to really meet the challenges within the sector, but also the challenges facing our independent members and owners. And the future is looking bright. We have our first client to be provided with services, and we're working on our first contract with a nonprofit, which is a church-based nonprofit that's doing a project on food insecurities, and we're excited. And thank you for having us.
Thank you, Assata. I really love to hear the tremendous creativity that you all are bringing to this work, and the ways that you're meeting all of the specific both needs, but also opportunities and strengths that your neighborhood and community has. And I think that's really one of the strengths of our sector, is that we are coming from so many different places and we can learn from each other. So thank you for bringing that. Our last introduction before we get to our videos is going to be from José Julián Ramírez. He's the Executive Director of FIDE Co-op, located in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I'm excited to hear from him. This is a project I've gotten to support a bit, and I look forward to the rest of you becoming familiar with what they're up to. So welcome, José Julián.
Thank you, Fay. Yes, FIDE Co-op stands for Cooperative Development and Investment Fund. It's a 40 million non-for-profit cooperative development loan fund and venture capital that can provide strategic financing for businesses organized under the cooperative model. This fund was made possible with the contribution of local charter credit unions and the co-investment agreement with the Puerto Rican government. FIDE Co-op provides financing tools to sectors including agriculture, textile, energy, retail, food, healthcare, among others. And in 2021, FIDE Co-op was awarded by the Small Business Incubator and Accelerator Program from the Community Development Block Grant for Disaster Recovery Funds. And now FIDE Co-op manages the first cooperative business accelerator in the island. We have an early stage initiative in Puerto Rico exploring the feasibility of launching a home care cooperative or a home care cooperative network. In summer 2021, FIDE Co-op collaborated with various stakeholders in Puerto Rico to help the ICA Group to do the Puerto Rico Home Care Market Report. This report is part of the CDF Socially Disadvantaged Group grant. And in October 2021, the report was presented to important representatives from the public sector, private sector, and the cooperative movement in Puerto Rico, such as the League of Cooperatives of Puerto Rico, AARP Puerto Rico, municipalities, and the American Job Centers. On December 2021, we conducted a SWOT analysis among the stakeholders, and the next steps for 2022 is to build a canvas business model and made advocacy for caregivers, like tax exemptions for caregivers and initiatives for those workers. One of the biggest threats to the caregiver industry in Puerto Rico is high rate of labor turnovers, and another threat is that in Puerto Rico, we don't have the same Medicaid and Medicare services as the rest of the states in the mainland. So we are dealing with this kind of threats and trying to, like having the ground affordable for new co-ops in the island. Thank you.
Thank you so much, José Julián. We're so happy to have you here. I know that there's some others from Puerto Rico joining us here today, and we're so happy to have you as well. So thank you so much to all four of our presenters who introduced us to your initiatives. I think we have at least one question in the chat, so we'll start there, and I welcome any others. So we have two questions for Kathie. The first is the local hospital or a referral source for Heartsong? And Katrina, who asked that, is curious how Kathie and the co-founding caregiver members first learned about the cooperative model.
So the hospital that's across the street from us is a referral source for us. We did a mass marketing campaign at Christmas where we sent out postcards to all the departments of the hospital and the surrounding businesses, whether they were medical providers, physical therapy providers, estate planners, dentists, wide range, and then every department in the hospital. So that's been really kind of a neat thing that we've seen response on. And then the other question was about.
Yeah, the other question was about how you and the other co-founding co-op members first learned about the cooperative model.
So years ago, the homeowners co-op that I live in was approached by NWCDC to convert to a homeowners co-op. And I did some work with Deborah from NWCDC in that conversion. She did technical assistance for us, and she had approached me about a home care co-op back in 2018, I think it was. And kind of life happened between then and now. A lot of our board of directors are people that actually live in that homeowners co-op. And so they're also caregivers. And so they all wanted a chance at better jobs, more control, more say, better pay. And so it was just a natural progression for us, I guess.
Wonderful, thank you. I guess following up on that question, while we're waiting for any more questions from the audience, I have one myself. So in connection with that, I'm wondering, Assata, if you could tell us how your group of founding board members came together.
We really came together, one, I should say, we responded to a comprehensive needs assessment that happened in our neighborhood, right? And asking residents what kind of jobs they wanted. And the number one was in the health arena. And then we did another assessment to see that there were a lot of people who had been certified as community certified nurses assistant. So we knew that there was a pool of people and there was an interest. And we came up with the cooperative idea based on our research. Remember, we were a neighborhood trying to figure out how to protect our residents in the community from displacement. And so cooperatives came on the radar because of the Cleveland model, right? Through Democracy Collaborative. Again, we always started this idea of evidence-based, data-driven strategies. And we took a trip to Cleveland, and then we worked with MIT CoLab, and they did, so we've had strong partnerships with universities. And so they did some research for us, helped us come up with some kind of implementation strategies, how we can move forward. And so really the residents, and then among African Americans, as we know from the book Collective Courage, this ideal of cooperation has been a strong strategy. So African Americans, as part of even Kwanzaa cooperative economics, it resonated, right? And so as we were doing this research, people have been working and thinking about cooperative economics for quite some time in our community, right? So this was a strategy, listening to the community, listening to their strategies and ideas, and then partnering with others to really kind of do the research, look for potential funding, and really to say, how does a model need to be implemented in this neighborhood to be effective, right? Not just taking a cookie cutter idea, but saying we need to take into context our particular neighborhood, our particular residents are going to be future member owners, and really develop a strategy that works. And so, this idea, again, of cooperation is the way communities function and exist. So I always want to say it resonates with how our neighborhood function in that comprehensive needs assessment. You ask people if they knew people who would, give a neighbor a ride, check on an elderly person, watch someone's child, right? So we knew the value and the principle of cooperation was deeply seated within us. We just needed the kind of framework to bring it into greater presence and to create an economic return for us.
Thank you. Well, this is great because everything each of you is saying is giving me another idea for a question I want to ask. Well, I'll keep mine on hold for a second because I see one coming through in the chat. And this is something that any or all four of you could speak to. What was the buy-in for the members? What's the buy-in to become a member at each of your co-ops if you've gotten to that point in your development?
Ours is $700 because economic participation is important. And we really, we had this conversation yesterday. We don't want to be seen as a charity, and we don't want to be in a relationship of paternalism, right? And so while grant funding and all of that is important, we really, stress to our members that home care businesses are capital intensive, right? And so for this to really feel owned by us, then we needed this member participation. Now, of course, there's investment. So people only pay once they start working for the cooperative, right? If that's what the economic situation. And then of course, they're able to pay in a payment plan. But $700 and, $700 was the low end because the member owners was like, no more, right? They really had this sense of feeling proud that they were investing in a business that was theirs. So ours right now is $700 as the base to create seed funding for the business. We did get some grant funding from local initiative support corporation, that's a list office. And so that's been the funding. And we also have received some funding from Solidaire Network through another group, an incubator accelerator. So anyway, but that $700 has been our members' investment share.
Great. And I saw Pedro put in the chat that Co-op Homecare in California, their member buy-in is $200. And so far that has been waived for the first member. Kathie, are you, can you share what Heartsong's buy-in is?
Our buy-in is $200, and they have the option on how they want to pay it, whether it's all up front or whether it's by payroll deduction at 2.5% per payroll.
Great, thank you.
And Fay, can I just say,
please.
We also was interested in creating this like savings account. So our members really thought about the investment as a way to help people, really save, right? So many of them thought like as mothers, single mothers, this would be great, right? That I can have a savings, it can earn some interest, right? And so I just want to say another reason for it was also this idea that this can be an opportunity for mothers, women primarily, to save for things that they were looking to purchase or invest in the future. So I want to say we also focus on that idea that this is a savings and investment that can grow.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think that's something that a lot of co-ops in the future would be also interested in offering. So as always, more questions welcome. My question that I was thinking of while Assata was speaking, because Assata spoke to the sort of familiarity and resonance of cooperation within the African American community or communities. And it made me think back to some conversations that we had, José, Julián, about how the cooperative model is already well established in Puerto Rico and other sectors, and how that may provide opportunity for establishing that in home care. So I was wondering if you'd be willing to share a bit about that.
Yes, Fay, can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, it's an open-ended question. I just remember in our conversations learning about how the cooperative model is already well established in Puerto Rico in other industries. and the way that that could provide an exciting opportunity to kind of bring that model into the home care space.
Oh, yes. Yes. Our first cooperative in Puerto Rico was founded on 1873. So we have a large history of cooperativism in the island. At this moment, we have, the cooperative movement in Puerto Rico is very strong. We have 110 credit unions across the islands, 2 insurance co-ops, multiple cooperatives, and like more than 120 different types of cooperatives, a consumer, worker co-ops, and that's very good because we have a cooperative business incubator in the University of Puerto Rico. We have FIDE Co-op, which as I said is kind of a community cooperative development venture capital for co-ops, for startups, or for any co-ops that need improvement and help, and from financial help or technical assistance. So we are very proud of our cooperative movement in Puerto Rico, and we have a very good ecosystem for help any initiative on home care cooperative.
Thank you. Yes, I know I've really enjoyed learning about that, and I am also a big fan and an advocate of our sector coming and taking a visit to you in Puerto Rico and learning more about the co-op sector there. So I hope that's something that we can build for the future.
Yes.
So
Another thing is that we have our local regulator only for co-ops. No matter if it is a credit union, insurance or a worker co-op, we have the same regulator for all co-ops, and we also have an agency, a public agency that is supposed to help startups on their first steps.
Great, thank you. So very soon we're going to transition and see our videos from our more established cooperatives. But I wanted to ask Pedro how this dynamic has played out where you are. Has familiarity or lack of familiarity with the co-op model been a challenge that you faced, or something that has really enhanced your co-op's ability to gain clients or caregivers?
That's a good question. I have worked with co-ops in the past. I've been a member of a worker-owned co-op as well, and I always feel like we're not there yet as getting into the nitty-gritty of the co-op aspect internally, and we're just trying to get off the ground. We're trying to establish ourselves and be a sustainable business. And as far as putting that, leading with the co-op difference, it's a mixed bag. It feels like in terms of like getting caregivers, sometimes it feels like leading with the co-op difference is too different. And sometimes we think that they want to hear just like what they're used to hearing. But I think that there's a middle ground to be reached there for sure. It's definitely not one or the other. And with clients, a lot of people call us specifically because we're a co-op. They're just like, we want to go with you because you're a co-op. And so yeah, I think that's definitely helps us a lot with clients. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
Can I add? I just want to add, like when I was doing the flyer for the recruitment, Pedro, I was like, be a co-business owner. And I was like, no, like we're hiring, right? like the nuts and bolts, right? And when I changed the language, the reception was totally different, right? So I'm
Yeah.
speaking where people are not, like we're hiring, we will hire immediately, paid training, like the stuff that people need to survive. And
Yeah.
ownership is beautiful, but it's down the line once I get this job, right? So anyway, I
Yeah.
just want to say that sometimes
Yeah.
developers are in the clouds and not on the ground. So
I
I'm
totally
not
agree with that. And I think asking somebody to be a business owner could be a big ask depending on, how they look at entrepreneurship and business ownership. So you never know, but I think also mentioning that it's a good job, not just because, apart from business ownership, it's like an empowering job. And I think that's really important to get that message across as well. We do have a job, we're hiring, and this is an opportunity, without getting into like this whole entrepreneurship, be a business owner part, so.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And they may say, well, let me meet you before I know if I want to be a co-business owner.
Right.
Yeah, that's really insightful. So I just want to thank all four of you so much for the work you're doing in your businesses, in your communities, and in our sector. Together, we're growing stronger. And I can't thank you enough for coming here today and sharing what you're doing with us. So we will transition now to the second part of this session, where we're going to watch a series of 4 short videos from some of our more established cooperatives. The first is an introduction to Peninsula. Well, I'm gonna explain them all now because we'll just watch them in sequence. So the first is an introduction to Peninsula Home Care Cooperative in Port Townsend, Washington. The second provides a more historical perspective on the start of cooperative home care associates in the Bronx. And the final 2 videos are caregiver recruitment videos, first from Capital Home Care Cooperative in Olympia, Washington, and second from Home Care Associates of Philadelphia. And these recruitment videos offer powerful insight into the cooperative difference from the perspective of caregiver owners. So we will watch the videos and keep the questions coming in the chat.
Peninsula Home Care is located in Port Townsend, Washington, a small community on the sea surrounded by mountains. The lighthouse on the headland is the inspiration for our logo. Port Townsend, an art and maritime community, has traditionally supported the spirit of cooperatives. We have the oldest food co-op in the state, now celebrating its 50th year. The Shipwrights Co-op is the hub of the maritime trade in our region. The Port Townsend Gallery is artist-owned and operated. So it was natural that the community embraced the idea of a home care cooperative, especially since the median age in our county is the eldest in the state and the 8th oldest in the entire country. In 2015, after working for a national franchised home care agency, my heart ached to create a stable alternative source of home care for the seniors in Port Townsend and Jefferson County. Whispers of the USDA providing funds for rural development, contacting the cooperative developers at Northwest, the idea of a caregiver-owned agency quickly moved forward. The Jefferson County Economic Development Council helped us secure startup loans from the local Investment Opportunity Network. Our local-owned newspaper gave us continual coverage. Peninsula Home Care Cooperative was embraced by community from the start. We are really locally grown and caregiver-owned. We specialize in caring for seniors. The elders we care for have a rich and deep history. They are woven into the fabric of our community. Many of our clients were born here, influencing the history and culture of Port Townsend and Jefferson County. It is our honor to take care of them in their final years by a community of caregivers that genuinely love and respect them. Our clients can rest assured that the funds they spend on their long-term care stay in the place they call home. They are contributing to living wages and amazing career for their children and their children's children. In its 7th year, Peninsula Home Care is a beacon of light for those seeking care. It is our honor and privilege to serve them.
My name is Clarissa, and I worked at Capital Home Care Co-op for about 3 years. I was looking for a part-time job while I earned my undergrad. I had some experience in caregiving already, and I knew that I wanted to work for someone that was local and fair. And that's how I found CHC. At first I had no clue what I was getting into. All I knew was that the idea of a co-op sounded great compared to the other agencies in the area where I knew caregivers had very little say in their hours and pay. During my interview, I saw that there were plenty of ways to get involved, and you didn't need to know everything to do it. You just needed to be interested in learning how to do it. And for me, that was a very telling sign that CHC was a place where professionals could grow. By the time I finished college, the pandemic was in full swing, everything else was on pause, and during that time I continued to work at Capital Homecare, and I was able to accomplish more than I ever imagined, honestly. Not only did I play a part in keeping Olympia safe, but I also got to experience being on the board of directors. I took up marketing and recruitment for the co-op. I helped provide trainings to our caregivers. So now that I work in media production, something I've always wanted to do, it's been a really huge help to have that experience from Capital Homecare. If you're a young professional who wants hands-on experience in more ways than one, then Capital Homecare Co-op is a great place to start. For me, working at CHC was this huge stepping stone for my professional development. Whether you want a career in business or healthcare or even media like me, then do yourself a favor and send in your application to capitalhomecare.coop. Your future self will thank you.
I've been a home health aide about 34, 35 years. I started off at Stooks Center, and from Stooks Center I went from different places. I graduated from PTC, but I didn't have an opportunity to move on. I was a single mother on welfare. I choose not to be on welfare, so I was like, you know what, I'm getting off of welfare. I don't want my kids to think this is the way they're supposed to be. So I was introduced to Home Care Associates by a friend. I came here and graduated. I'm from class 10. I've been here for 25 years. And the thing that I like about ACA, gave me an opportunity to become part of something. I knew my client, he needed me. And he was going through a lot himself. And the day I stepped in there was so funny. I said, hi, I'm Yvette from Home Care Associates. Can I help you today? So I was like, you know, I understand. Can we sit and talk? I won't touch nothing. I won't do nothing. And it took me about a month for him to really trust me. And when I found out his story, it was so hurtful. He was like a hermit. He wouldn't go outside. He wouldn't talk to nobody. His door was shut. And it was a time where he didn't want nobody in his house at all. But I had to be there for him. And now he's making his doctor appointments. He's going outside. He's doing exercise and he's smiling more. And when I found out I was doing that with a lot of clients that we deal with, it was beautiful. 5 years after I came to Home Care, I was on the board director. Where I am now, I'm still on the board director. I'm a senior aide, a mentor. I go out from Washington, Harrisburg to speak out for the company. The environment is beautiful and the bosses always listen. Their doors are already, open. I'm happy. I feel good when I get and put on my uniform. Sometimes I get frustrated when the only thing I can wear is uniform when you got new clothes in the closet. So, otherwise that I really, really love my job, and I'm hoping that other people see kind of jobs like this. We need more home health aides. I started from welfare, and I didn't let it hold me down. And just like this company, I'm not letting nothing hold me down. I'm not letting nobody break my spirit. I just love people and love myself. You gotta love yourself first, and you will be awesome.
Wow. What a varied and beautiful set of videos from these 4 co-ops. Thank you for making them and sharing them with us. I know that video is something that as a sector we're really trying to grow into, so I admire the bravery to put together these videos, and I think they came out really wonderfully. So if folks have more questions, you can pop them in the chat. The last cooperative, I see a question in the chat, the last cooperative was Home Care Associates of Philadelphia. And I do see there was a couple questions that came in earlier. which I think any of the cooperatives that have participated in this session could speak to if they have an answer. The first was, have home care co-ops had any luck with marketing services to any large housing cooperatives that may have needs? And also, have credit unions been a source of marketing for new hires? So any relationships to large housing cooperatives or credit unions?
Yeah, I'll say in Houston, this is a great question. I just want to say, because I think I'm not certain if this is the way this is in other states, but one of the problems is that the referrals from doctors, right? In Texas, what has happened is that this has been a not so honest relationship, right? So these large agencies have relationships with doctors and they get these referrals, right? And so the interest of the resident or the client is not always present. And so we've been trying to kind of break up that relationship and then move to housing providers, particularly subsidized housing providers. And I'll say this, we also work with subsidized housing providers, which is the majority of our source of providers, because we're paying $15 an hour, but that's still not a lot of money, right? And so housing then becomes a challenge. So there's transportation, right? So we have worked with housing providers as a source, subsidized housing as a source of providers, but also senior housing communities as a way to build this holistic relationship for care for seniors on the site. And so I think that's an excellent strategy. We don't have a big infrastructure of cooperatives and cooperation in Texas, in Houston. Austin does, but Houston is a desert, right? And so we are working to use this cooperative to help spur the creation of other cooperatives. So we're working with the group who are interested in a credit union. Not the new kind of professionalized credit union, but ones that are really still member driven. So we're trying to use our home care cooperative to really incubate other cooperatives that are needed, like childcare, transportation.
Cross-sector collaboration, I think it's the direction we've got to go. Do any other co-ops who are here and who participate in this session have other experiences working with housing co-ops or credit unions that they would like to share? And I think if not, we will wrap up our session a few minutes early.